Major combat operations in Iraq have ended. In the Battle of Iraq, the United States and our allies have prevailed.
Not quite. It wasn't until 8 brutal years later that the US and its allies, including us, actually got out of Iraq. Now, we could be going back. Iraq is rapidly being taken over by ISIS, or the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. The group has seized the city of Mosul and battled government forces in Tikrit as hundreds of thousands of refugees flee. They've implemented strict Sharia law, and they're so extreme, even Al-Qaeda disowned them. Now, they're closing in on Baghdad. So who are they, and what do they want?
ISIS is a radical Islamist organisation. They seek to establish Islamic rule in the areas that they conquer, and they seek to conquer as much territory currently in Syria and Iraq as they possibly can.
US President Barack Obama is now under pressure to declare his hand.
There will be some short-term, immediate things that need to be done militarily, and our national security team is looking at all the options.
And if the US does decide to act, Obama's clear he wants us to have his back.
Aussies know how to fight, and I like having them in a foxhole if we're in trouble.
Obviously, any request for help would be taken very seriously by us.
So are we about to head back to war? And do we have a responsibility to the Iraqi people to do just that?
Benjamin Isakhan is an expert on all things Iraq and joins us now. Benjamin, is the US likely to go back, and if so, in what capacity?
Well, I think all of this puts President Obama, for example, in a very difficult position. In the US, as in Australia, the Iraq War was an incredibly unpopular and unsuccessful adventure. It cost trillions of dollars, it cost a lot of lives, and it was a very difficult and protracted fight, and the US lost a lot of international prestige. So the idea that an American president, whether it be Obama or someone in the near future, would send troops back into Iraq on the ground could well be political suicide.
Is it your opinion that this problem we're facing now wouldn't exist if we hadn't invaded?
Absolutely. I think what we need to remember is that in 2003, in the lead up to the war, President Bush at the time, Prime Minister Tony Blair, and of course our own Prime Minister John Howard, all argued that we were going into Iraq because Saddam had links to Al-Qaeda. Of course, about a week after arriving in Baghdad, the international coalition realised that Saddam had no links. But what the intervention did do was create lawlessness and chaos and anarchy in all different parts of Iraq. So the idea that we went there to defeat Al-Qaeda, in fact, what we ended up doing was bringing Al-Qaeda to Iraq.
And Ben, just quickly before we let you go, if America goes back into Iraq, will we follow them?
Well, I think it would be a remarkably ill-conceived thing to do for the US and for Australia. I think, obviously, the US is in a very difficult position. We should really remember that Australia's commitment to the Iraq War was, although we should be proud of it and we should acknowledge that we were part of it, it was a remarkably small commitment. And the idea that we should go back, the idea that we should play a whole new role in what is inevitably going to be a long and difficult conflict, I think is not a good idea for Australia.
Ben, thanks so much for your thoughts. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.